Hey everybody, Zach Bice with Bice Family Tree. Out in the shop again today, and I had a brand new idea for an item that I thought would really help my wife. She's a teacher, and a lot of our teachers go underappreciated. They're definitely underpaid. But school is starting soon. A lot of teachers are gearing up to go back, a lot of students, and the parents, of course, couldn't be happier. But I thought I would make something that would help my wife out a little bit. She loves to be organized. She loves to make lists. She's a band director over middle school and high schoolers, so she is extremely busy. So I thought I would make her a little blackboard that also doubles with a whiteboard. I'm going to show y'all how to do this. Come with me. So I'm in Lowe's and walking through the plywood section, and I see this MDF that is one side chalkboard and the other side dry erase board. We are going to make a mitered frame and make a chalkboard / dry erase board for Amanda. So I went to my local wood supplier yesterday and I got some gorgeous curly maple, and I'm going to use this curly maple as the frame because she likes it so much. And this piece has kind of a bad corner on it, so I'll be cutting that out. But I'm going to make 1-inch slices out of this piece on the table saw for the frame. I think she will really like that, so let's get that done. And here, as always, make sure your blade is only just high enough to clear the board. That is the safest way. And I opted to make the width of these pieces 1.5 inch instead of 1 inch, because why take away from that beautiful curl? And here I am going to make the 45-degree miter cuts. Now the trick to this is do these miter cuts at 44.5 or 44.7. Do not do it at 45 degrees or you're just going to frustrate yourself. 44.5, 44.7, somewhere in there is a perfect place to do your 45-degree miters, and it gives you a little wiggle room to correct for error. Now while you're doing this, make sure that you are orientating the piece correctly or your angles are going to be off, which I screwed up, so 2 of the sides are now shorter. And here I am bringing my blade height up to 1/2 inch to run the inside dados to hold the board inside the frame. Now I'm running these 1/2 inch shallow dados into the inside of these 1.5 inch frame pieces. Now, if you do this by hand instead of using a push block like I should have done, you must be extremely careful. This is dangerous. So don't do as I do, kind of do as I say. Use a push block. Don't be an idiot. But I move very slowly, very deliberately, and very carefully. So as long as my fingers aren't getting that close to that blade, I'm okay. So don't worry too much about me. And there you see splatter going everywhere because the vacuum shut off. But yes, if you do it like this, please use a push block. It is a lot safer. So we have our dado slot cut into our frame, and it's okay that it's not center. I actually did that on purpose. I didn't want to center it. I want one side to be a little more flat, and this other side I'm going to put a 45-degree chamfer on it. One side's going to be whiteboard, the other side's going to be chalkboard. The thicker side is going to be the chalkboard side because I'm going to put a little lip to hold pieces of chalk and stuff. Now the other side, you know, she has hangers and pencil holders and stuff for her markers, but I am going to do that on the chalkboard side, so it's going to be a little bit thicker. That being said, make sure that when you do this method that the dado is on the correct side. Now if it's dead center, you don't really have to worry about it too much, but if it's not, make sure that your dado, when you're doing this tape up, is on the correct side, or it's not going to line up for you to place the board in it. So there's that. So I'm going to put the skinny side down towards me. So skinny side is towards me. And on this tape up, you're going to alternate lengths because the top and bottom are shorter than the sides. So skinny side down. Put that, you're going to put that angle miter right up against it and make sure it is aligned, just like so. So make sure that's aligned, and then press down on the tape. Make sure it's going straight on the tape because it's going to act as your clamp for your glue up. Skinny side down. All right. Skinny side down. Okay, so now just run all these like so, and I call tape flex clamp, even though that there's actually flex clamps out there, but I just call tape a flex clamp. Now that miter fit just like that. Tape it down, and voila, we have our frame for our board. So now that we have our frame for our board, we need to measure what size the board needs to be. So the way I do that is I measure inside to inside is 6 7/8 of an inch in length, or width rather, and this is 8 3/16 of an inch top to bottom. So now that we have our inner measurements, we are going to add 1 inch, which is double the length of the blade that we use to make our dados. So I'm going to cut that now. Okay, so first we're going to do a dry fit just to make sure that everything is good. Now if it moves around a little bit, that's fine. We can just add a little bit of glue in there and it'll hold it in place. Just make sure there's no not a lot of squeeze out. There. We have our chalkboard and our whiteboard. I am going to take these pieces over to my router and run that chamfer because I can't do that once I glue it up. So instead of running a 45-degree chamfer, I'm going to opt to do a round over. I think it'll look a little bit cleaner. So 1/4 inch round over it is. And here I am just sanding from 80 all the way to 220 on the sides and insides, and I will be sanding the outside of it once the glue up is complete. Okay, so now we are ready for our glue up, and I always use Titebond 3 pretty much for everything, just so I don't have to switch around glues and stuff, because it's, you know, water resistant. It's food safe. I pretty much use it for everything. It's like Frank's Red Hot. Put that stuff on everything. So now we're going to put glue in our miter joints. And it doesn't really matter right now because I'm going to spread it with my handy dandy one-of-a-kind glue spreader. Spread it nice and evenly along the joint. And we'll be wiping out any squeeze out that we have, of course. But make sure you cover the whole joint. There. Now I'm also going to put a very, very thin rib of glue in the top and the bottom of this piece, just because I want to really hold that board stationary. When I did the dry glue up, when I did the dry run, it fit just fine, but I'm a little overcautious. So chalkboard side is going on the thick side, and I'm sorry, that's the sides I did. Right there. Right there. Down. All right. So we have our glue up, and we can wipe away any of the squeeze out. Try not to get it on the board if you can help it. And if you need to, you can always add clamps to either side or either corner or whatever. But we will let this dry. Not too worried about squeeze out because I'm going to sand away whatever is left on the outside anyway. So we are going to let this dry and come back in a bit. Okay, it has been about 25-30 minutes, and should be more than enough time for the glue to set up. So we're going to take off our flex clamp, as I dub it. All right, and there we have our frame. Let tape away. And now everybody's most fun and favorite part, the sanding. And the reason I like to glue in at least two of the sides like this is because, one, if the board was cut too short or shallow one way or the other, it's going to shift a little bit inside. Well, if you add just a little bit of glue, even just to one side, it'll eliminate that. That's how I do my box bottoms. I do the whole dado thing and flock it, and then if it moves around just a little bit, that's okay, as long as it doesn't move around so much that there's a gap in between the wood and the board. So a little bit of glue is just fine for that. And so now we are going to start the sanding process around the outside. Okay, so now I've got all the sanding done. I've rounded off the outer edges and the corners and cleaned everything up. And I'll do one final sanding before I actually put some finish on it. But before we do finish, we need to protect the actual board from getting finish on it because it'll just ruin it. So what I'm doing is taking painter's tape. It's a little trick that I learned actually putting in carpet and hardwood floors. So you just run the tape up under the edge like that, right here, and you see how it's kind of overlapping over here. Well, there you just take a screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, and kind of tuck it under, just like that. Same thing for this end. Just tuck it under, just like that. And take your razor blade, if you've got one, and very carefully, not downward into the board, but laterally, sideways, make your cut into that gap on both sides. There you go. It's perfectly covered, edge to edge, end to end, and still very easy to peel off. It's not, you know, your finish isn't going to get on your board. And finish doing that for all your sides. Well, now that you've got these two sides done, you don't have to worry about cutting anymore. All you've got to do is just make sure you get up under that flat edge right there, unless you overlap like a dummy like I just did, but that's okay. I just tuck it down, and there we go. So now I'm going to cover the rest of the board with this tape and do the other side. So with this, I thought about laser engraving some things, or maybe even my pyrography, which I would need to do that before I add the finish. But this curly maple is so pretty, I really don't want to take away from that. And if I want to add something to it later, I could just put vinyl letters or something on the finish. But that curly maple is so pretty, I really don't want to take away from it. So I'm going to leave it as it is for this one, because I have plenty more and I can make more. And I will still make this very special for Amanda. All right, everybody, we are over here at my finish table, and I'm going to do my typical coating, 2 coats of shellac, sanding in between. And then after the second coat of shellac cures, double-aught steel wool, very lightly, very little finesse, and then 2 coats of gloss lacquer, and then I'll put, after that cures, some paste wax on it. So this is everybody's favorite part, so let's see how this looks. All right. So that is 1 coat of shellac for one side. Gonna wait for that to dry and then coat the rest. So we have our final product, and that finish is beautifully shimmering. Like and subscribe. If y'all like what you see in this channel, please like, share, subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you get notified anytime we put something online. But this is a very fun build. I love how beautiful that curly maple is. Now, you don't have to use hardwoods to make this. I wouldn't use like bacote or rosewood or something like that, because that's expensive stuff. Pine is perfect for stuff like this. Matter of fact, if I was to make this for a market, I would be using pine instead of curly maple. The reason I use curly maple is because I'm giving it to my wife, and she is definitely worth it, and she loves the way this stuff looks. So if you like this build and you want to see more of it, like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate everybody's support. We just hit over 500 subscribers not too long ago. Had our giveaway. It was a lot of fun. Thank y'all so much for the support. I love every one of you. So until next time, all of y'all take care of yourselves so we can all take care of each other. Y'all be blessed. Have a good one.